grab a drink, join the chat. Let's start.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. I am your host, Lindsey Vertner, and I'm super excited to announce tonight's special guest. Before I do that, if you don't know who I am a peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. I teach ambitious, busy female entrepreneurs and leaders how to master their mindset and increase their self-care, self-worth, and self-discipline. I love to empower women to maximize their potential and unapologetically pursue their passions. And I'm super excited that y'all are tuned in for an episode of the Happy Hour Show. So if you're watching live, then make sure that you comment, love, share this video out because it's always some gems getting dropped on the Happy Hour Show, okay? And then make sure if you're tuning in right now at this very second that you comment all the way live in the comments. And if you're catching the replay later on tonight or maybe tomorrow or next week or whenever you decide, then comment read all day, okay? Let me know you're here because this is definitely a conversation between us all. And make sure you get your questions ready because tonight's guest is going to bring the fire. And I see y'all are already tuning in. Alea says, hey, happy family. Whoop, whoop. Thanks for tuning in. It is time for y'all to grab y'all's drinks and make sure you join the chat because this is another episode of the Happy Hour Show. And tonight's guest goes by the name of Tabitha D. James. She is an award-winning millennial business strategist, a 5-time author, and a global speaker who has helped numerous business and entrepreneurs and nonprofits to unleash their greatness. Y'all know I love that part, right? She is the founder and executive director of She Is Me Youth Mentoring Program, which has served more than 30 young women in just only 3 years. She's a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, and she is truly dedicated to serving all mankind. So welcome tonight's guest, Miss Tabitha D. James. Hey.
Hey, everybody. I am super excited to be here.
Yes. Now, I know I gave them a brief preview of kind of who you are and what you do, but I want you to give us the real tea, okay? Take us back and let us know who is Tabitha really.
Wow, take you way back. And so it's funny because I haven't grown much over the years. If you meet me in real life, I'm literally 5 foot tall. But I am from a teensy tiny small town in Lakeview, South Carolina. I grew up there. Amazing experience, small town girl. I went off to undergrad at Coastal Carolina University in the Conway, Myrtle Beach area of South Carolina. And then I packed my bags and my little Nissan Sentra at the time and moved 10 hours away to South Florida for graduate school. And that is where I can coin that I started to unleash my unique greatness and begin to figure out who it was that I wanted to be in my corner of the world. And so that's just like a smidget about me growing up. I love to travel. I love fine dining. I love people and hugs. So the Rona times are really bothering me because I love hugging and loving up on people. And so that's a little bit about me and my background. I like sweet teas. I'm from the South. And so yeah, that's me.
I love sweet tea too. And listen, if y'all are just tuning in, make sure you grab your drink. Don't tell us what it is yet, but grab it because later on you'll be able to share what you're sipping on in your cup. But right now, join the chat. So Listen, I love traveling just as much as you do, and I am also a people person. So having to be quarantined, it's like, oh, I just want to have people over and do some entertaining. So, what are some ways that you have been managing being an extrovert during these quarantine times?
Ooh, that's a good one. So before or after Clubhouse? So
Pre-Clubhouse, pre-Clubhouse, because a lot of folks
pre
still ain't on Clubhouse. I know Clubhouse be lit, but a lot of people still are on there. So let's go
right.
pre-Clubhouse.
Yeah, so pre-Clubhouse, it's very funny. So the online world is kind of where I've hung out and found joy and connectivity for quite some time. So I moved back to my hometown um about 4.5 years ago. And so it's the middle of nowhere. Not many of my colleagues are here, not many of my friends are here. So I have learned how to create space in the online space for quite some time. And so really as an extrovert, it's just made me spend more time intentionally connecting. So having some engaging Zoom meetings with people that I love and like and need to be connected with in between all the work jazz and all meetings and things like that. In addition, I've really taken some time to like do some of those home projects that kind of get pushed to the side pre-COVID, and I've really caught up on reading. Not something I was doing enough of. I did listen to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks, but there were some books that I had been saving that I wanted to just read. And prior to COVID, I did do a lot of driving, like across the state and the East Coast, if I wasn't flying. And so it's given me some time to do some of those things. So that's how I've been managing as an extrovert, and making sure that I'm just connecting with people, even though I can't like see them and touch them and mingle and socialize in that way, just making sure I'm doing it intentionally in these interwebs.
Now, I noticed that there's something that you talk about on your page and in your bio about you were afraid to kind of get out of the box, that box of perfectionism. And I know a lot of viewers and listeners out there, they struggle with the need to be perfect. Maybe that prevents them from going after a goal or seeking a specific type of relationship. Maybe it prevents them from applying for a promotion that they know that they deserve, but they don't feel like they're good enough for it. Everything just has to be perfect. Maybe it stops them from releasing things in their business. So give us a little background. Where did that area of perfectionism start for you?
Wow. So long ago. Wow. I feel like grade school, right? So I had some struggles with like my attitude and acting out per se, but as it related to academics and performing in like social groups and social circles, like I've always pushed myself to do more, be more, and go above and beyond whatever said standard or unsaid standard. I'll coin that part of unsaid standard, maybe the standard from someone on my shoulder, but wasn't really the standard. I've always pushed myself to just like go above and beyond, go above and beyond, go above and beyond, go on above and beyond. And then wanting to just, I guess, be accepted, right, by society standards. And so that just really made me be like, oh, I want more. Okay, get this degree, get this certification, get this award, do this. And all of it was just really like a checkbox, right? Like another checkbox, another checkbox, another checkbox. And I don't even know if I really took the time to soak in a lot of my earlier accomplishments, because it was always like, it was never good enough. It was never good enough. And looking back now, I realize I think a lot of that was internal, of me just wanting to overachieve, to block out any other things that were going on in life, or just be better than whoever I was in competition with. Because honestly, now I realize I'm only in competition with who Tabitha was yesterday. I'm not in competition with any of those other people, whether they're in my head or they're in reality. So that perfectionism, if you will, roots way back to like grade school and just wanting to be that overachiever.
Exactly. And there are so many different things that you touched on. But what would you say was that first moment of awareness where you realized, like, wait, I'm being a perfectionist and this is no longer serving me?
I think after so I released my first book in 2017. And I did a 200 or so pre-sale before the book was even a thing. And I didn't take time to sit in that. And after I went to a conference and I was in conversation with some self-published authors, and I heard some statistics about, authors and self-published authors and selling books. And I was like, wait, did I hit a milestone? Like, do I really need to soak in some of these accomplishments and some of these things that I'm making happen for myself? And just in conversation at the time, I think I was around 25 or 26, and listening to how other people responded to my success or my bio or the things I was doing versus how I responded, right? And so that in itself took me to say, I gotta start paying attention to what's really happening. I gotta start paying attention and realizing that it's not always about what's next, and what about what's now, right? What about what's now? And it looks like, Lindsey, did we lose you there? So if there's anybody in the audience that wants to ask a question, feel free. I'm kind of watching too on Facebook, so I'm not sure where Lindsey went. But yeah, there was a lot of just self-imposed imposter syndrome and self-imposed overachievement that I was just going through. And I think at that moment, when I heard how other people perceived me, it took me into a space of saying, okay, slow your rolls. You're doing some great things, and you really need to take some time to soak in the fruits of those labors and stop trying to go by anyone else's standard but the ones that you've set for yourself. So I'm not sure if you heard that response, Lindsey. Do we have you back?
Internet world is going crazy over here, so I don't know what type of fire you about to set on these folks listening, but geez Louise, okay? The show must go on.
Show must go.
Right. Look,
I kept going, girl.
Somebody out there is about to get their life tonight, so that's when they're like, let me mess with the internet. Let me try to block this blessing that somebody's about to get. But not on tonight. The show must go on. And so I caught bits and pieces. I heard you talking about perfectionism and realizing that it stemmed from your childhood. And you just realized it back in 2017, whenever you wrote that first book, and that whole bit of imposter syndrome creeping up on you. And I know so many people can relate to that, which is why I'm doing a whole webinar on imposter syndrome. But so many people don't realize how the things from our childhood and the things from our past subconsciously affects our behaviors right now, in our personal life and in our professional life, because perfectionism is one of my main limiting beliefs as well. And I'm glad that I've been able to overcome it. But every new level that I get to, then shows up a little differently. And I have to kind of catch it and be like, no, I know what's going on. So what would you say would be your number one tip to help those people that are struggling with perfectionism?
Taking this done is better than perfect in certain situations and running with that, right? And I'm not saying that is an excuse to put crap ton out in the world. I'm not saying that that's an excuse to have low standards. I'm not saying that it's an excuse to not do your research and put footing into what it is that you want to produce into the world. But what I am saying is, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? Don't get stuck in, I'm going to do it later. I'm going to do it when the kids grow up. I'm going to do it after I have this amount saved up. I'm going to do it when I lose 10 pounds. Like, just go ahead and get started, right? Get started and set your own standard. Be the standard. Do what it is that you feel that you're most purposed to do. And as you're doing it, if that's not what your it is, you will bump into your it. And I think it's that we want to have it all figured out, like at that moment. And that's where that perfectionism starts to like creep in. But life is a journey. It's never a destination. So if we just tap into, I'm going to get started. I'm going to do something today. Like a lot of times with books, people are like, I just don't know how to format it. I just don't know, what graphics to use on my cover. I'm like, if you don't write anything, no one has anything to edit, my friend. So
Okay.
let's just get started. Let's just get started, boo.
Exactly. Like nobody is gonna can't format nothing. You can't edit nothing. You can't sell nothing. Like first, you got to sit down and write it. Over here, these comments are lighting up. Right? Anita says, "Love that. Not focusing on what's next and enjoying what's now." Alea says, yes, we really have to give ourselves grace. And I see those questions coming in. We're going to save that for the question and answer segment. Alea says, acknowledge your wins. And this show is too hot. These internet streets can't handle it. Every Tuesday, right? Anita says, hashtag done is better than perfect. And that is so true because progress is better than perfection. And one way that really helped me to step out of that perfectionism mode was to shift my perspective. It's all in mastering your mindset, right? Because whenever we think about it, when we are holding on to something, essentially someone continues to suffer the longer that we hold on to it because we are all in this together. Like your skills and your talents and the purpose that you were put on this earth for is tied to someone else. So the things that you have is going to help somebody else break through. So the longer that we hold on to it, the longer that they suffer. And when I flipped my perspective to think about it that way, it was like, well, oh, damn. I ain't trying to be stingy. I ain't trying to be the cause of nobody's suffering. Let me go ahead and put this out, whether it's perfect or not. And that's what we truly have to do is just to do it because the people that we are meant to serve, they don't care that it's not perfect. They just want what you have. Whether that is your singing abilities, whether that's your product in your business, whether that is your love and tenderness as a great friend, I don't know. Whatever is your skill and talent, they want what you have.
Exactly. That's it.
I really want to spend some time here because this is something that comes up over and over and over again, which means people are just not getting it. They're not getting it. They struggle with this perfectionism so much, and it's so common, and they want to struggle in silence because they think they're the only ones that struggles with perfectionism, but you're not. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Did you ask a question? Because I didn't hear it.
Nope, we were just talking about perfectionism.
Yeah, well, I heard that. And it's true, it's common. I think that it's one of those age-old topics right now that you really can't talk about it enough because so many people are coming in and out of it daily because you can fall, just like you can get out of perfectionism, you can fall right back into it easily, right? And thinking, because to your point, I'm going to the next level. The next level requires another level of you, another understanding of you, another piece of you, and you can easily fall back into not wanting to elevate because you feel like you need to be perfect. When that's not the case, just keep going.
Yes, so true. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my lovely guest, Miss Tabitha D. James. And right now, I think that this is a great time to find out exactly what our special guest is sipping on.
What's in your cup?
Hey, this is that part of the show where we find out what's in your cup. So if you've never watched before, make sure you put in the comments exactly what you're drinking. And if you don't have a drink, then put in there what you wish you were drinking. And hashtag no judgment zone, okay? So Tabitha, my dear, tell us what you're sipping on in your cup.
I'm having some hot apple cider with ginger. 'Tis the season, right? Apple cider, holidays, that kind of jazz. A little bit of ginger never harms a person. So that's what's in this mug tonight. What are you having tonight?
Well, before I share that, go ahead and give us some cup cam. Hold that cup up to the camera and show everybody.
A cup cam for me.
Yes, dear Black girl, and we're going to talk about what that cup means in just a little bit. Today, I am drinking a root beer milkshake, but it's spiked with Bailey's. Yes, so I'm on the naughty list tonight.
That sounds good.
Yes, I have loved root beer milkshake since I was a little kid. And I think it started back at Sonic when they used to have those flurries. Basically, like you could get pop and some ice cream and they would mix it up and it was like a milkshake. So I always got a root beer float blended up like a milkshake, hence a root beer milkshake. But whenever I get an adult, I add a little Bailey's for a little razzle dazzle, okay? And today it's just in a plain plastic dollar cup. Plastic old red dollar cup.
Cute though. It's cute.
Over here in the comments, Miss Alea says, a perfectionist is the excuse. Procrastination is the action and fear is the reason. And I love that you brought that up, Alea. Yes, we're going to come right back to that comment because you just hit on something right there. But Anita says she's drinking vodka with cranberry apple juice. Hashtag that's right.
No judgment.
Put in the comments what you're drinking on. Oh, we got a party. Alea says she's having some cream soda with a little vodka in it. Yes. Ready for the end of the year. I love it. I love it. Keep talking to us over here in the chat, but let's get back into this discussion right now. So Alea brought up something good right here. Let me go back to that comment. And she says, for those that missed it, a perfectionist is the excuse, procrastination is the action, and fear is the reason. And here's the thing. We often like to think that we are in control of the things that we do, but our subconscious controls about 90 to 95% of our behaviors. And so we end up in these cycles. And perfectionism can be one of those driving cycles. And it's that fear of not being good enough. I know because I'm a recovering perfectionist, that fear of not being good enough. And the cycle that comes with that is that we try to make something perfect, but perfect doesn't exist. So we keep going, and we're beating ourselves up and we're causing ourselves stress and overwhelm because it's not perfect, which only reinforces the subconscious belief that we're not good enough. Why can't I get this perfect? Because I'm not good enough. And you're not directly telling yourself, but that's what's showing up in your actions. What would you say about that, Miss Tabitha?
Wow. That's just one of those big things that I have to say, get out of your own way, right? Because you hit it on the head when you said our subconscious controls a lot of those thoughts and actions, the vast majority of them. And so we need to we make these massive to-do lists, right? At the top of it, most days we need to put controlling our thoughts, right? Controlling our heart and our mind so that we can intentionally conquer what's on that list without feeling the need to be better than, not feeling less than, not feeling any of those things, so that we don't fall into those pit holes of procrastination, so that we don't fall into those pit holes of comparison, so that we don't fall into those pit holes of not good enough or do I deserve this? We need to learn how to reprogram and control our own minds. And if we do that, we can conquer the to-do list and some, right? I mean, some of those things we create the problem for ourselves, and then it's hard for us to figure out how to get over that hurdle, right? Because we've dug ourselves so deep in the mind. And I think that during these times where people are spending a lot more time at home, a lot more time around their families, a lot more time in thought, or even immersed in, if you're essential and you've been working a lot, you've been having to go. This season has just put us in a lot more thoughts and a lot more where are we and how are we? And I think that when we start to dig into that too deep, we may feel that we don't have control over our minds, and that's not the truth. We do. We have the ultimate autonomy to switch up the way that we think about ourselves. And then once we switch that, we have to realize that, like I said earlier, just because you got out of the cycle doesn't mean you can't fall back in it. So you have to plant your feet in some solid ground so that you have a firm grip on who it is that you are, who it is that you are becoming, and who it is that you want to be in this world.
Yes, yes, yes. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and my special guest, Miss Tabitha D. James. Make sure you chat us down in the comments. Anita says, guilty as charged, hashtag reading my life. Listen, hold on to your edges, honey, because we are still just getting started. Alea says, I'm telling all my business, and that's okay. That's what I love about the Happy Show, because my guests keep it real, and we are here for you, for life and business. And I love that you touched on some of those things. Miss Renette says, so true, ladies. And it is. So I know one time someone asked me, what stops people from shifting their mindset and really taking charge of their lives? And our thoughts are so powerful. It's spiritual, it's scientific. The power of our thoughts really dictates the life that we are living. And so my answer to her was, there's 2 stages that stops people from mastering their mindset. And that first is awareness. So sometimes we aren't even aware that there's another way out there than what we're accustomed to.
That's good, yeah.
And then we become aware, like a lot of people in the personal development space, we become aware, and people that follow us become aware because they're following us and they're listening to our podcasts and our shows and reading our books and things like that. But that second step is doing the mental and emotional work that it takes to master your mindset, because essentially you are unlearning everything that you learned, and your identity might be in that old mindset that you had. So what would be your suggestion as far as those people that are truly trying to move from awareness to taking action and being consistent in that action so they can truly achieve their goals?
Oh, this one's good. This one's good. This one's good. Don't be afraid of professional assistance. Don't be afraid of assistance outside of your comfort zone, even if it's not professional assistance. And so I'm a strong advocate for therapy and getting help in that realm if it's needed. But I'm also a big cheerleader for sometimes you need to talk to folks. Now, yes, I said folk. You need to talk to folks that are outside of your comfort zone and outside of your normal just sphere of influence. Because oftentimes when you're trying to shift that mindset and you started listening to the shows and you started reading the books and you started attending the virtual events, but then you put yourself back in circles that are still talking the same chitter chatter, that are still not elevating the conversation, or they are not fostering an environment that allows you to grow, you then start to creep back into who you were. You then start to shift either way backwards. And so I challenge people to get in uncomfortable circles, get in new circles, diversify who it is that you put yourself around on a daily, monthly, yearly base. Be very intentional about your surroundings, your circles, your networks. They can be versatile, and they don't all have to look like you. They don't all have to speak the way that you speak. They don't all have to do the things that you do, but making sure that you're strategically aligning yourself with others to just continually shift your mindset and expose you to other things. Oftentimes the gap is in the exposure. And so you can't do anything.
Been exposed to another way. You have not been exposed to anything different. And so I challenge people to seek professional assistance and or, right? Can be both, can be or, get into different circles.
Yes, I love that. And I know, well, y'all know I'm a big proponent of therapy and getting a coach and doing whatever that you need to do, okay? And yes, you can have both, because a therapist and a coach is going to do 2 different things for your life, okay? And you got to heal all that stuff from the past to be able to maximize the potential that you're walking in for your future. Over here in the comments, let's see, Martel says, learn to live in the now and appreciate yourself now, not what you want to be. Take steps, then learn to run. And Renette agrees. We mentioned that earlier. Progress is better than perfection. And Miss Alea agrees as well. Yes. You have to be in your now moment, and you have to envision and speak as if you are already living the life that you desire for yourself. I know, I'm sure you probably had this as well. Sometimes you'll get clients that say, oh, I can never see myself doing that. And my response to them is, that's exactly why you're never going to do it. Because first you have to see it in your mind. You have to shift your thinking and say, I am debt free. I am a millionaire. I am a successful business owner. And then really get down to the nitty gritty and piece out every single detail of that life that you have, because where your focus goes, your energy flows. And when you focus on what you don't have, then you're going to attract more of that lack into your life versus when you're focused on the positive, you're focused on your goals, then you see all the opportunities and the tools that are around you to succeed in what it is that you're striving for. So what would be a tip that you would have for those out there just striving to achieve their goals? What would be your number one tip?
Find a focus. Find a focus. I think so many times, right? I see this in my clients. I see this in colleagues. I see this all the time. I even see it in myself sometimes. We have goals, right? And we have personal goals, professional goals, business-based goals, philanthropic goals. And we have so many of them. And we think that we're supposed to get them all at one time, right? Everything is achievable and everything is figure outable, but that does not mean that we have to do them all at a time. So take your days, your weeks, your months, your years in strides, right? So set those, and I mean it's done over and over saying of the SMART goals, right? And break those things down, break them down so that they are specific and measurable for your everyday life, and they can be attainable so that they don't they should scare you, but they shouldn't scare you with every single task, right? You shouldn't get overwhelmed at each and every day. And so I think the biggest piece of advice that I have is to find a focus and go in on it, right? Go in on that focus. And so if you set a few different maybe 2 or 3 personal, professional, and philanthropic goals for, let's say, the quarter, right? Find your focus and hone in on those goals. And when things come that are out of the sphere of what it is that you're chasing at the time, you have to get real comfortable with no, realizing that it's a word, but it is also a complete sentence. And if you need to add an exclamation point, do that.
Yes. Okay. N-O period. And saying no is a form of self-care. Okay. Now, I know that you have something called Dear Black Girl. You showed us on your mug. That is the title of your Dear Black Girl, Timeless Gems for Brown Girls Bound to Win. Tell us a little bit more about that book. What was the purpose behind it? Just tell us about that brand as a whole.
Certainly. And so brand as a whole started off with the book. I had the idea to put it into the atmosphere after working with thousands of Black and brown women and girls over the last few years. And there have been a few common themes, no matter if it was rural women, inner city women, all socioeconomic statuses and backgrounds, degree to no degree, even down into working with teens. There was a common theme that I started to see, or a few common themes that I started to see, and I started to document some of those things that I was seeing just to make sure that I wasn't making assumptions, right? And so I started documenting some of the key things and that I was seeing, and then I started doing a little more research because shamelessly, y'all, I'm a geek. Like, I am a nerd. I am the nerd's nerd. And so I started doing some research around, Black and brown women and different challenges and changes over time. I've read some portions of some friends and colleagues' dissertations and all types of things. And I said, I want to have a conversation with my girls, right? I want to talk about and share just some things I found and drop some gems to help you get out of your way and get on your way. And so I developed this piece and I thought about different colloquialisms and different ways to kind of have some chill language and just put it out there like I'm having a conversation with a homegirl, but I'm your sister that wants you to get your life together, right? I want you to stop making excuses and I want you to get to work, right? I want you to realize that you can be spiritual, but this don't gotta be your grandma's spirituality, right? I want you to know that you can have fun, but you don't have to always be like the party. And you don't have to always tell everybody about all the business, right? You don't need to see everything. And so I wanted to just have a chit chat with my girls to get them up out of their own way. And that is exactly what I did in recent read.
I love that. I love that. I love that because I think this has came up a couple times in recent conversations, that mentality that there can only be one, that is so ingrained in us from our history and our past, and the whole issue with slavery and how a lot of times there could only be one. And it's such a deeply rooted belief in the Black culture that a lot of people still have it today, but we can go so much further when we support one another and encourage one another and lift one another up, especially as one of the most marginalized people in the world, right? Because Black women, we're always at the bottom of the totem pole, but then we're expected to be strong for everybody and their mama. So a lot of times we're at the bottom of the totem pole, but we're also crumbling while we're down there, but trying to maintain it together. So I love that you specifically wanted to talk to dear Black girl. And help out the sisters. And it's just so important that we maintain that unity and lift one another up because the world isn't doing it for us. And so we have to come together and support one another. So
yes,
what would you say would be the biggest piece of advice that you can give specifically for the Black girls out there, for the brown girls out there that are struggling to find that supportive sisterhood?
Look beyond your ordinary spaces, right? It's very similar to the advice from earlier with healing and getting therapy, getting coaches, looking outside of your circle. You may have to look online, right? You may find your sister girl at a conference. You may find your sister girl in a Facebook group. You may find your sister girl through someone you used to know, right? But don't get so sister girl hurt that you decide to cancel everybody, right? I'm gonna run that back for you because oftentimes we'll get hurt or something won't go right. A friend will do us wrong. A business partnership won't go right. And then we canceled everybody. We've canceled all Black women on every corner of the earth because, that one situation did not go correctly. We'll dig a little deeper, heal from that hurt, even if you don't get a sorry, and intentionally seek other relationships. Because there are women out there that you can align with. There are women out there that will support you, that will cheer you on, that will encourage you at your lowest moment. And it just may not be the ones that you've always been around. So just be okay with stepping outside of that. Be okay with looking for those friendships in untraditional, if you will, ways. And if anything, these times have kind of catapulted some people who would not ordinarily look online or look in varying circles for friendship and pour into doing that. So I hope that we keep that energy, right? Keep that energy and don't get stuck in, man, there's nobody out there for me. I'm never going to have friends. It's lonely at the top. All of those things that are so easy to say when you're like burnt out, but find your people, right? And realize that every person isn't going to be like your girl. Some people are just going to be people that you may know for a certain reason or a certain season. And so if you stop trying to give these permanent assignments to seasonal people, you'll then have room for the people that God is trying to place into your life.
Exactly. And I hope y'all got your pens and papers and still got your edges and still got your wigs on, because that is exactly it. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable sometimes and go out there and find those people because they're out there. I mean, I can think of people right now where one person is like, everybody I talk to, I'm always getting done dirty. And it's like, honey, you need to change your circle because all my people over here are supportive and encouraging. But I understand you have to be willing to get yourself uncomfortable and find those people that will support you and lift you up because they are out there. And sometimes it's not in your immediate surrounding. And so you have to be willing to say, you know what? I'm going to do something different today, or I'm going to go someplace different, or I'm going to speak to someone that I maybe normally wouldn't speak to because they're out there. You just have to do the work to find them. And I love that you said seasonal people, because a lot of times we hold ourselves back trying to hold on to these relationships that no longer serve us. And I like to compare it to an elevator. You know, like when you're standing in the elevator door and it doesn't close because you're standing in the way. Well, you're trying to get to level 60, but this relationship you won't let go of is blocking the door from closing. And so you're stuck on level 49 and you're like, why can't I get to level 50, 51? I'm trying to get up here to 60, but I can't make it. And I just don't know what's going on. And it's like, honey, release this relationship. release it, and then watch. That doesn't mean that you don't love the person no more. You just gotta love them from a distance, especially if y'all got two different mindsets.
Yes.
Have you ever in your life had to let go of a relationship that maybe you've had for a long time? I know sometimes we feel obligated to hold on for relationships for one reason or another, but have you ever in your life had to let go of a relationship that was really hard for you? And then what was the outcome of doing that?
Wow, so this is a good one. I have not had to let go of a relationship that I had for a long time. I had to learn how to categorize people. And so, in saying that, I had to learn that in certain seasons, I could not give people the amount of time or energy or love or effort that I may have given them in another season. And if that then authentically shifted the relationship or the friendship or the whatever, then so be it. But realizing that I was very, very goal driven, very high achieving, very focused, there were times that I had to say, ooh, I can't give so much time and chit chat to so and so, because when I call, they just want to talk about people, they just want to talk about the past, they want to do this, and I don't have the capacity, I don't have the time. So let me categorize this person, right? I still love you, we still buddies, but in this season, I just can't really talk to you that long. And so I've had to do quite a bit of that, right? And it's been one of those things where now looking back, I'm like, ooh, maybe I did cut them off, but it happened so organically. There was no conversation of, hey, we're no longer friends. I'm not talking to you anymore. This is over. It just organically happened as we began to grow in separate ways. And so I think that's been a very interesting situation and scenario, especially as I journey to the big 3-0. It's very interesting to think about some of the relationships and friendships that have lasted the test of time, and some of those that have just kind of fallen by the wayside, just really organically, of just saying, I had to put you in a different bucket for this season. And you may be over there saying, Tabitha's acting different, things have changed, whatever, but I don't even know, because I'm so laser focused on what it is that's in front of me and what it is that I'm purposed to do, that I don't even know. I miss the chit chat, and so that's been my kind of way of navigating that space, is that I have to categorize you.
Yes. Like you said, you so focused, you don't even hear it. And I think that's another key thing to point out, is that you can't be focused and worried about what other people are going to say and think. Because at the end of the day, you are waking up with you and you are going to sleep with you, and you have to live your life. And so you have to do what's best for you. You have to protect your environment. You have to protect your mindset. And, sometimes you got to love people from across the street, and that is okay. Over here in the comments, Miss Alea says, there are so many women who have that kind of I don't deal with women mentality. Sisterhood and communion among women have been natural for centuries. Yes, girl. Preach it in the comments. Miss Anita says some of best relationships have been online relationships. And I can attest to that because one of my current besties I met online. And we have now formed this bond. You would think that we've known each other since childhood, but nope. I met her in the past year online. We had already met in person. Of course, when we were able to go outside, I was. So don't come at my neck. Aaliyah says, honey, you need to change yourself. Exactly. And then she takes a sip of her tea because that ain't none of her business. Anita says, took the wig off, edges snatched. Well, listen, I'm sorry. Get them back together because we're going to be back for another episode, and we still got a little bit of time on this one as well. Montel says, I love what you're creating. Keep up the great work, Lindsey. Thank you very, very much. And it's all a part of, it's a collaboration with my phenomenal guests and with my phenomenal viewers and listeners. I love the conversation that we can have. I love that everybody can show up and just be real and raw and hashtag no judgment zone when you're coming into the happy hour show space. So I think that this is a great time for all of you out there. Get your questions in the comments. I know I saw a few roll up in there and some were dropped in previously because right now it'd be a great time for a little segment I call
30-second hot shot. Answer the question in 30 seconds or less, or take your shot.
Yes, it's that part of the show where we play 30-second hot shot.
I'm ready.
That means you have 30 seconds to answer the question. You got to take a shot of your drink that's in your cup, okay? And so if you have a question that you didn't get to submit prior, go ahead and drop it in the comments right now, because if you wait too long, we might not get to it, all right? But that's what you get for procrastinating. So let me pull up my timer. Get that going right here. Timer, put you on 30 seconds. And so how this will work is I will read the question and then we'll start the timer and you will have 30 seconds to answer. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. So, this is going to be easy. Well, maybe not because of what you said earlier, but we'll find out. The first question is, what is your favorite book and why? Go.
Oh my goodness. It's so hard. My favorite book right now, I read too much. My favorite book right now is Becoming Still by Michelle Obama. I read it last year. I really like the way it was orchestrated, the way that she took us through a journey from her childhood to early adulthood, switching up her career and not being, I guess, pigeonholed because her parents didn't necessarily agree or understand with why. Then through her journey through meeting Rock and going through the whole campaigning and all that jazz.
That's the buzzer. So shot.
I made it.
Let's start the timer over. Okay. So this next question is in the comments and it says, did you have a season where you took time for personal development? Go.
Yes. And so I have had seasons where I was not producing a lot into the atmosphere. I was really focused on Tabitha. I was focused on who she wanted and needed to be, what she was learning. I am still quite young per se. And so all through my college and grad school and time, I took a lot of self-development. A lot of it was wrapped up in work, but I took a lot of time to just really dig into who do you want to be in the world and not so much what it is that you want to do.
You are 0 for 2. 0 for 2. Let's see if you can get this last one. You ready? Come on. You got it. You got it. This last one says, okay. Oh, this one will be easy. How do you practice self-care? Go.
Ooh, coffee, coffee and coffee and meditation. I'm done. I'm not saying another word because I am not losing this time.
And you had 16 seconds left. 16 seconds left. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for playing 30-second hot shots. We got some more folks tuning in. Miss Deborah says, hashtag church CEO. Hey, 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 all in the house. And she says, yes, Becoming was awesome book. She had the book. She had the Netflix special. So she just had the whole bundle. Shout out to my entrepreneurs. Get you a bundle, okay? So
get you a bundle.
There is a question that I have to ask all of my guests because I am all about living a first-class life, which is a life full of intentional happiness, where you are intentional about the quality of life you're creating for yourself. It's about shedding away those masks of fear, those masks of doubt, those masks of pretending to be something that we're not, so that we can live up to the expectations of other people. It's about walking boldly and authentically in who you are, flaws and all, and being unapologetic about it. And so I want to ask you, how do you intentionally create happiness in your life? And there's no time limit in this one.
I do not allow others to dictate my days. I don't allow others to dictate my days. And I mean that by become very intentional with my no's. That's number one. But in just a very practical sense, like I wake up, I read the word, I get started with my day before checking emails, right? I get started with the Tabitha list before I even dive into emails. And I don't have email notifications on. And I curate my days and my weeks and my months to the best of my ability. I am still growing. And so sometimes there are times I'm not doing exactly what I want to do, but to the best of my ability, I curate a life and schedule that I am happy with. And that I feel is building such a solid foundation for who it is that I want to be long term. And so that is my just unapologetic answer. I'm gonna create the life that I want to live. If I gotta live this life, I do not want it to be miserable, and I do not want it to be dictated by others.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's what living a first-class life is all about, because you are the one that you have to live with. And too often, so many of us spend our lives trying to please other people, whether it's friends, a lot of times it's parents, and then we can't understand why we're unfulfilled in our lives, while we're going to bed with resentment in our hearts, and we don't understand what's going on. And so I love that you share that, and hopefully y'all caught it too. So let all of the viewers and listeners know, where can they follow you? Where can they connect with you? How can you serve them?
Yes, all the things. So you can find and follow me at Tabitha D James on all things. My @ name on Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse, and Snapchat, all the places is at Miss Tabitha D _. I'm trying my best to get rid of that underscore, but sometimes that name. So it's at Miss Tabitha D _ You can find me at www.tabithadjames.com, as you can see on the screen. If you want to shop all things Dear Black Girl, the link to that shop is also on my site, but it's dearblackgirlshop.com. I serve nonprofit leaders and social group leaders on strategic planning. So if that's you or anyone that you know, you can send them my way, and we will be excited to see if we can work with them in 2021. I am a ball of just excitement and personality, if you can't tell. And so I'd love to be connected with you all. And Lindsey, I must thank you for having me on the Happy Hour show. Like, you let me bring my cider and you let me hang out. Like, I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I love having you here on the show. And for all the viewers and listeners at home, make sure that you sign up for updates so that you can stay updated on future episodes of the Happy Hour show, Right now, we are here every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern and sometimes Thursdays, 2 times out of the month. But we are in the middle of season 2 and it has gone off beautifully, okay? And thank you for your patience amongst all of the technical difficulties tonight. I truly appreciate you and your willingness to spend an hour with us on the Happy Hour Show, because I know you could be anywhere in the world doing anything you want, but you are here right now. So make sure you go back and watch the replay. Make sure you share this out and pick up those nuggets that you maybe didn't catch the first time around. Again, sign up for updates at bit.ly/happy update. You see it scrolling across the bottom. Make sure you follow my phenomenal guest, Miss Tabitha D. James, and all the goodness that she has to share. Shop in her shop. Yo, Lash, can they still get some in time for Christmas? Some Christmas presents?
Do you still get a Christmas present? You got about 6 days before we cut it off for the holidays, because if you know, UPS and the postal service and everybody, they working around the clock. But you got about 6 days before we shut down holiday orders, because we're trying our best to get them to you by Christmas.
Awesome. So listen, if you want to get a specific present in time for Christmas, you got 6 days left, okay? And let's just go ahead. We're not going to procrastinate and say 5 days left. So get on it. Get on it. And then again, sign up for updates so that you can stay updated on future episodes, recaps of past episodes. And sometimes my guests have a Happy Hour exclusive for VIP mailing list only, but you got to be on the list to get those Happy Hour specials, okay? So with that said, thank you for tuning in. Miss Alea says, yay, look, she gonna get a Christmas present before the shop closes, okay? Angel says, hey, queens, what I miss? You know what? Videos chopping up. Yes, we had high-tech difficulties today, but we kept it pushing, and we are here to go back and watch the replay to find out what you missed. With that said, make sure you tune in for the next episode of the Happy Hour Show. And it has been my honor to serve you again on this evening. Thank you again to my beautiful guest, Miss Tabitha D. James. And with that, I'll see you next time.